Alright, if you guys can hear me, just give me one quick second. Alright, so I see we got Josh, Muhammad. Looks like Jalen. Alright, so I see we got Josh. I don't want to hear myself talk. Okay, there we go. Alright. So let's go ahead and get to it. I like going backwards here, so we're gonna do executive first and legislative. So we're gonna quickly go down all the different roles. Lord of the Sky. Josue. Whatever Lord of the Sky is. I think that's Abner again. Anyways, so let's start. First role of the president, we're talking about chief of state. So the role requires a president to blah, blah, blah. Really what it comes down to is this is where you need to focus on special occasions, celebrate national holidays. It's where essentially, they're doing the giving out a medal. They're doing like the 4th of July speech. They're lighting up the Christmas tree for the holidays. Where basically they're doing stuff that says, it kind of makes them look good, but it's not changing our economy. It's not making our country safer. It's not doing anything other than just good public relations. It looks good to the public. So that's the chief of state one. Chief executive. This is the one where you can focus on the word boss. It's where he's doing stuff that, the executive branch is expected to do. When he's appointing someone to his cabinet or judge, he's doing an executive job, or doing a job of the executive branch, so he's chief executive. When he's holding a cabinet meeting, when he is enforcing the laws, when he's basically just doing what the executive branch is meant to do, he's doing chief executive. We've got chief diplomat. The key word to remember with diplomat is foreign. So there's you go right there. Anything where we deal with the foreign government where we're not using military. Okay? So here you see some examples: traveling to London to meet with British leaders, entertaining diplomats, writing a letter, signing a peace treaty, any of these things where we're doing it with another country. As you can see, there's Britain, there's Japan, there's Russia. It's always another country's involved with non-military means. Commander-in-Chief, on the other hand, is military. So pretty much if you see anything related to military, you see Armed Forces, Army, Navy, Air Force, Coast Guard, Marine Corps, anything with the military, Commander-in-Chief. Because he is the Commander-in-Chief. We got the legislative leader. This is the one where if he does anything with Congress, so you can see Congress, Congress, Congress. It's mentioned 3 times in this short little scholastic thing. And in every single one of the examples, Congress, Congress, Congress. So when he's inviting members, signing a bill, or vetoing a bill, making a speech. Let's see how much you guys remember from class today. What is the one speech the president has to make per year to Congress? What is the one speech? This is going to be a test question anyway, so hopefully you know it. What is the one speech that the president has to give to Congress every year? Nope is a scary answer. Hey, there we go. State of the Union. So if you didn't know that, double check your notes. I know we wrote it down. State of the Union is the one speech per year the president must give, and he's giving it to Congress. So when he's doing the State of the Union address, he's acting as chief legislator because he is dealing with Congress. Chief of party, right here. It's when he's helping out his own party. So see, choosing leading party members to speak at a rally for a party nominee. Anything where it mentions his political party, right there, keyword, political party, telling you what you guys can focus on. So it might not say political party, it might say Democrat, it might say Republican, something like that, okay? Where he's helping somebody else get reelected or helping the party raise money, something like that, he's acting as chief of party. Now the one that's not mentioned, because technically, for whatever reason, Virginia adds chief citizen. I don't know why we changed it, because this is technically the 7th that everybody else learns, but whatever. So I'm not going to even bother showing you that one. Chief citizen, it's where it's kind of like the president is the representative to the world. So it's one of two ways. One, it could be something where like if he were to attend a funeral for another world leader, that would be an example of chief citizen. He's representing all of America at that funeral. Another example is just him doing everyday things like walking his dog or playing basketball or whatever, something that the everyday American citizen can do. That's chief citizen. And that is pretty much that one. So this is basically everything from the SOL right here, really short, just so we're clear. So it's representative of all people. Here's one. We went over a little bit in class today. Whoops. Write down. Oh, come on. Stay. Good computer. Presidential power has grown in the years since the Constitution was ratified. So think of it this way. Back in the days of Washington, they were so afraid, they didn't want a king. So that's why we even call this person the president. Made sure we have 3 different branches to split up all the power, all that stuff. Well, since the days of Washington, our presidents have gotten more and more power. Think about it. What branch has the power to declare war? The legislative branch. The last time we declared war was World War II. Yet, we've had Korea, Vietnam, Persian Gulf, Iraq, Afghanistan, all these places where we sent troops because the president said we're going to send our troops there. Now, we haven't outright declared war through Congress, even though that's their power, but we still call them wars because we sent so many troops and people fought and died and all these things happened. Presidential power has grown. It has increased. So think of it that way. His cabinet department, we talked about this one in class today, helps to execute the laws or enforce the laws or carry out the laws. There's that State of the Union address. You guys know we can approve and veto by now. So there's really that one. All right. So let's do legislative really quick. So there's really 2 types of powers. Oh, too much. So we have expressed and implied. Expressed is the ones they're going to use most often. Those are the ones I can go and open up the Constitution. I can read word for word in the Constitution. So I know that the Congress has the right to approve appointments because it says so in the Constitution. That's an express power. I know that Congress has the ability to impeach. It says so in the Constitution. It's express power. I know Congress controls money. It says so. It's in the Constitution. All right. Now, implied powers are where they kind of stretch that wording. It's where you see it says used to carry out express powers, or it might say just the opposite. It's not specifically listed in the Constitution of the United States. That's where, like, Thomas Jefferson used implied powers to buy the Louisiana Purchase. If you remember, this is the story I told you where he said necessary and proper clause. Like America, we were bursting at the seams where, we didn't have enough land for all the people that we were having. So Jefferson was like, well, it's necessary for me to, like, buy this land from, for Louisiana Purchase. And since I'm getting such a good deal, it's only the proper thing to do. Now I'm paraphrasing it and just trying to make my point here, but Nowhere in the Constitution did it say, hey, the president can spend money on this. Remember, money is the power of Congress. But he used the wording of the Constitution and made it an implied power to help carry out buying this land. So then we come down here, the steps. My advice is to kind of break it down into these 5 words here. Okay, so we have introduced the bill. Remember, it has to start in 1, so let's just pick Senate. So we introduce or propose the bill in the Senate. It then goes to committee. Remember, committee is like a small group, so we're talking like 10 to 15 people in a room working out the kinks on the bill. Then they bring it to the floor of the House. They're going to debate it on the floor. And really, what you might not even see this word sometimes. They like to leave us on. They like to use the word on the floor. Remember, I talked about that in class today. It's just a fancy way of saying that it was discussed in front of everybody. So it went, instead of being 10 to 15 people in a small room, it's now everybody, because we started in the Senate, everybody in the Senate is going to be talking about it. After it's been debated on the floor of the House, okay, then we get to, they take a vote. Now, once it's been voted on in one House, it has to go back up here and start all over. Where now it's going to be in the House of Representatives, it's going to be introduced, going to committee, debated, and voted on again. Assuming they have the same bill, okay? They're going to agree on the same bill, because again, we didn't really get into conference committees, because that's a whole nother headache. Assuming they have the same bill, now it's going to be sent to the president. The president can either sign it into law, or he can veto it. So what is this called while it's going through, when it's in steps 1, 2, 3, 4? It is not a law yet. What is it called? And this is also going to be a test question. So it's not a law. What's it called? This should be a gimme. Good job, Josh. Good job. There you go, guys. Good job. So, some other questions. This is a test question. I mean, literally just word for word. It'll say, why do Congress write laws in response to problems, to fix problems? Something about correcting a problem. I mean, if you think about it, why do we have speed limits? Well, because people were driving too fast and hurting themselves or hurting other people. So we made a law saying you can only drive so fast. Why are we forced to wear seatbelts? Well, because people were dying in car crashes way too much. Made a law about seatbelts. People died less. Try to fix the problem. Simple as that. I will save you the trouble of having to study this. This will be on a future test. Individuals and interest groups help shape legislation. It's not going to be on this test. So there you go. Formal powers of Congress are limited by the Constitution of the United States. What's another way of saying this? These are the powers where nobody gets. It's saying that Congress cannot touch certain things because it's just too powerful. So those powers would be what? What's another way of saying those types of powers? Jalen, I will go back and I thought I said it in the video already, but I'll go back and go over it one more time, okay? Good job, Josh. Denied powers. All right. Simulations. Well, that's another fancy way. So let's look at this, Jalen, since you want to go over it again anyways. All right. You see how it says this process must be done in both the Senate and House of Representatives. Most of the time, you know, I don't have the PowerPoint here with me on my home computer, but if you remember when I had the black background, we went over in class. So again, we have introduce the bill. Okay, let's just say it starts in the Senate. So it's gonna go to the committee in the Senate. Then it's gonna be debated on the floor of the Senate. It's gonna be voted on. See how it says entire House? We're gonna talk about the Senate. The whole Senate votes on it. So now that it's been agreed, before it gets to step 5, we're gonna go backtrack. And now the bill is going to be introduced in the House of Representatives. It's going to be in committee in the Representatives. It's going to be debated on the floor of the House of Representatives. It's going to be voted on by the House of Representatives. Now that it's gone through both houses, been agreed to, now the president gets it. The president can sign the bill or he can veto the bill, as you see right here. If he vetoes the bill, Congress has the right to override that veto with 2/3 vote. Does that help clear up the confusion or still confused? So again, this is word for word what I have to teach you guys, in case you're wondering. There's the expressed and implied. There's the steps. Again, bolded the words, the ones that you need to know. Why do they do it? Solve problems. Okay. I think you guys are ready. I think you guys are good as long as you've been paying attention. Yeah. Let's do some quick law making ones. I'll do someone with the executive just off the top of my head. So, go ahead and tell me 1 through 4. So, write down in the answer boxes which one you do. So, if you don't know it, just don't do it. Write down question 1, 2, and write an answer next to it. You can answer all 4 if you really feel like it, or just answer the ones you think you know. I will fill them in as we go. All right, so branch of the government has the power to pass laws. The first answer is legislative. The legislative branch has 2 types of powers. As Amy said, it is expressed. Legislative Congress write laws in response to problems. And legislative specifically listed is expressed. Amy was 4 for 4. So was Jalen. Look at that. So good stuff. All right, let's do 5 through 8 now. Go up a little bit right there. Yeah. Good. So most part, it seems like you guys are getting it. It's okay if you get 1 or 2 wrong. Important thing to think about is a strategy. Right now, we're doing lawmaking. So only branch that could be the answer is legislative. The only branch we're talking about. So you guys got to carry that one. For instance, when you're doing 6D, the only branch we're talking about is executive. So you just got to carry that mindset into it. So one is 6C, that's legislative, lawmaking. The other one's 6D, that's executive roles. Let's see. Jalen is right. Number 5 is implied. If y'all missed number 6, you really ain't been listening. Good job, Muhammad. Constitution. Told you. If you see that document from here on out, that's the document to guess. And Amy comes in with them all correct again. So the 4th step is voting. I will tell you, it's really common for the SOL to have you put these in order. So they'll give you here's all 5. Go put them in order. You're gonna have to know the order. So remember one of the techniques I told you guys about in class? Bring scrap paper. Write down the order as soon as I say you can begin the test on a blank sheet, obviously. Write down the roles of the president if you can't remember them all. And write down maybe a keyword next to them, like diplomat, foreign. That way you can kind of remember it. So we said introduce. We got 2 more. Let's see how you do with 9 and 10. Well, Josh, just be listening. It's not the end of the world if you can't read them all. Number 9, I told you will not be on the test, but let's just see if you get it anyways. Look at Jalen remembering individuals and interest groups. Boom, 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 boom. Look at Jalen getting both. Good job. I know it's a bit worse. Oh yay, we got 100. Woo! We're special. Woo! Alright, so wanted to give you guys that stuff to review. There's 10 questions, I think, on each, maybe 11 on one of them. I can't remember off the top of my head. I think it's 10 and 10. If I was doing my notes for this, again, I would write down the steps. So I would literally see these bolded words. I would write these down. Introduce bill, committee, debate, vote, president sign into law. Those are the 5 steps. If you can't remember when express and imply, what I would do is literally, if you're having trouble remembering both, make sure you know one and write that one down in my little scratch paper, because then the other one must be the opposite. It may not be perfect because there might be other options on there, but it might help you remember. This up here you should know. So let me give you some words to remember the roles by. Okay. So chief of state, ceremony. Celebrates. Just remember ceremony. So chief of state is our ceremonial one. Anything that's like a ceremony. Number 2, chief executive. You could remember boss, but I just think of doing his job, enforcing the law. I want to just whatever just executive is executive. That's the giveaway. Whatever the executive branch does. Diplomat, I would write out the word foreign. Non-military, if you want to help remember that. Commander-in-chief, I would write the words military, so I can remember that one. Legislative leader, writing down the word Congress. I'm looking for anything to do with Congress. Chief of party, I'm looking for political party. And then chief citizen, I'm looking for like everyday normal stuff. I don't really have a shorter thing for citizen other than just average things. So that would be my advice. If you're having trouble remembering the stuff, write it down on a scrap paper and try to write maybe a word next to it. For the steps on how a bill becomes a law, I would try to write down the steps in one word. Now, obviously, it's not perfect. There's other words that goes along. I mean, you can see debate and avoid explains each one. It's not, but if you can have that basic grasp, it might help you remember it better instead of, I know sometimes you guys are in the middle of the test and you're like, oh crap, I forgot. So it's not that you didn't study or pay attention, it's just, it happens. People freeze on a test. So, you guys got any questions for me before I get off? No questions? Well, I'm gonna get off then, so that way this video doesn't get too long. I'm gonna retitle it too, so it's not saying Electoral College, which I don't know why it does. Well, I know why it does, but I just didn't change it. And I will try to remind you, yes, tomorrow in class as an idea. Otherwise, don't sweat it, man. Just relax. Got tomorrow, and then we got Thursday, and then you guys can take a break. All right. So y'all have a good night. Get a good night's sleep. All that good stuff. I will see you later.